Welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. I'm Jim, and I'm here with my partner Steve. And Happy New Year to everybody. It's our first broadcast in 2020.
Happy New Year, everybody, here on January 6th. Hope everybody had a great New Year Eve and off to a good start here in 2020. Jeez, a whole new decade, right?
Exactly. We gotta get used to that. I've already screwed up a couple of
Checks.
checks.
Damn!
And that wasn't even rehearsed.
Right?
No. But anyway, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to another great year with you guys and so forth. So, our first segment, and we're going to talk about football because football is the topic of the day, sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Haverstraw, New York. So, Steve, let's jump right into it. There was some, I'm going to say some upsets, and I got some egg on my face here because a couple of my picks, the Patriots and the Saints, are no longer playing football.
I'm right with you. I took both of those teams. The good news is I took the other two teams, so I basically went 2-2 this weekend, but I think the lead story has to be Saturday night in Foxborough. Is it the end of an era for the New England Patriots?
I'm glad you brought that up because I want to give my 2 cents on this because I knew that, but I keep telling people, is this the same team that won a Super Bowl 11 months ago? It's not even 1 year. And I'm going to say there's no way Tom Brady goes to another team.
That's not happening.
Right.
We'll unequivocally state that right now.
And let me ask you this. Would you bring him back? I certainly would. I certainly would.
Of course I'd bring him back. It's up to Tom Brady if he wants to come back.
Right.
And again, the debate is he the greatest quarterback of all time?
Yes.
Yes, I would have to
Of
say.
our era.
Of our era, yeah. It's a subjective thing. But, yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, having an argument, is Tom Brady the best quarterback we've ever seen? I got people still out there that are somewhat detractors.
Can't win them over with 6 Super Bowl wins?
No, I can't.
They must be from Boston.
No, they're not.
No, I'm joking.
One lives in Hawaii. I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
But listen, it was basically a 14-13 game, right? You tip your hat to the Tennessee Titans. I'd like to, and we're going to get back to Brady and Belichick and what it all means, but I got to tell you, I was so thoroughly impressed with Mike Vrabel.
You and I talked about this. Me too.
As the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. So the student comes back to, coach against the teacher, the mentor.
Which actually drives the teacher crazy here. You know, as much as he loved Mike Vrabel and much he values his, contributions to the successes of the Patriots and so forth. But you're right. He did. He seemed to know what was going on. And I think that was more of the reason why they beat the Patriots than the fact that Tom Brady looks 42. He didn't look 42 to me, but,
He kind of does to me, to be honest. I think there is somewhat of father time getting...
And we all get that. We know it's
we
coming. We could smell it. But, I'm going to write these guys off because they lost a playoff game? I'm not so sure.
No, I think it's the culmination of the past year with the Patriots. Obviously, they beat the Rams in the Super Bowl. They're still the defending champs until early February.
Right.
But there's been a lot going on, ever since the Orchids of Asia in Kansas City.
Yeah, but there's been all that kind of distractions all along with the videotaping and all that kind of...
Gronkowski retires. Okay? You get the circus with Antonio Brown.
Which we knew would last 2 weeks, and it lasted a week. So we were off by a week.
But the point is, the Patriots, business as usual... Really, it's been somewhat of a disruptive year for him. And you could see it really in the receiving core. And, Julian Edelman, as good as a receiver he is, he's their top guy. I mean, he's a slot receiver. So you could see how thin they were at wide receiver.
And when he doesn't catch every single pass that comes in his territory, that was a big factor in the game, I thought.
Well, Edelman had 100 catches this year, but he also had a lot of drops this year, and really
Uncharacteristic for sure.
none more bigger than
Yep.
them not getting the first down. So, again, we're tipping our hat to the Tennessee Titans. Derrick Henry, I've always been a Derrick Henry fan since Alabama.
And Steve and I talked about this before. I didn't see it, him as being this major league number one top running back in the league.
I did.
And you did.
I did.
And you did. But, where was he for the past, 4 years? He's been Heisman Trophy winner. He's been in the league for 4 or 5 years, right?
Right, but I mean, he's still a baby for all intents and purposes. He's probably 26 years old now.
He just turned 26, actually.
Right.
And by the way, he is big, he is fast, and he is powerful.
He is a freight train.
And you were right. I got to give you credit because I didn't see him as being this kind of a player and dominant player, running back in the NFL, and he is. He is.
So again, we tip our hat to Ryan Tannehill. So Vrabel.
Oh God, we got to choke on that one.
We do, but Vrabel had the balls to bench Marcus Mariota, the number one pick from 5 years now in the league.
Yeah, he gave him his just due.
And Ryan Tannehill, we all know what his resume is, but we talked about the fact that the Tennessee Titans are one of two teams since Tannehill took over, which is really mid-season.
Right.
They've been scoring 30-plus points. And so you do tip your hat to the Patriots as far as their defensive effort, even giving up 182 yards to Henry. Henry has a 20-yard catch, so he had 200 all-purpose yards. But really, the game was 14-13. And really, the turning point, I think, was the Patriots getting down to the 1-yard line. And how many times have we seen whoever it may be at running back, from LeGarrette Blunt to James White to Michelle to Rex Burkhead and the list is endless. The fact of the matter is they had first down on the 1-yard line. They couldn't punch it in. They have to kick a field goal, and really, he came back to haunt them. So,
and you and I talked about this. Was it bad play calling to run the ball on the one? You and I said they would score 98 out of 100 times running that same play,
Exactly.
and it just didn't work out. But I think it leads us to the point where we're saying, okay, so they didn't have the greatest game, but does that mean the era is over? Who knows?
Well,
it's up to Belichick and Brady and Robert Kraft, right? We all agree on that. Like, they'll make a collective decision about this.
right, and obviously they have to go shopping for more groceries. And again, they have a glaring need at wide receiver, and we'll see what happens in the offseason. So obviously the speculation for the next couple of weeks is going to be, is Tom Brady going to come back? He's definitely not going anywhere.
He's not going to, right. He's not going to quarterback the Broncos or something like that.
No, he's not.
That we know.
But I would put money on that he'll be back for one more year.
I agree.
His ego, his competitive streak, I don't think he wants to go out like that. But at the end of the day, listen, Tennessee moves on.
Yep.
And you tip your hat to them. So
Let's talk about the other games, right?
Yeah.
The Bills, they hung tough and they had a great year. We talked about them, right? I rode the Bills all year long. They did great, had a good defense and so forth. And, we got some Bills fans, in our audience that I told them, I said, you guys should be happy. You're on the right road. You got some talent. I think you got a good quarterback. I've told you I like Josh Allen. I like Sean McDermott. So, hey, that's no knock on them that they got knocked out of the playoffs. They'll be back next year.
They had a great 17 and a half weeks. So they're leading 16-0 at halftime. And the Houston Texans, you got to credit Deshaun Watson.
How can you not?
And all I could think of is watching Deshaun Watson in the second half was go back to
Clemson game.
Exactly, the national championship game where Alabama really took it to
You got it.
Clemson, and then Deshaun Watson had that great comeback, and it was kind of eerily similar. But
He's tough to
for
bring
him,
down. Oh my God!
I mean, that especially the Malachi crunch that he got out of.
Very good Happy Days
A Happy
reference
Days
there.
reference. But for him to escape that
was great.
was great. And J.J. Watt had a big sack. He comes back. We talked about he's an inspirational player for Houston. Listen, they escaped by the hair of their chin. But to your point, Buffalo had a great year. They got a lot of good young talent. Josh Allen did nothing to really hurt his cause. Yeah, obviously, he's still a young quarterback.
I really like him. He's aggressive. He's athletic, and I think the Bills have a good future with him.
I do. I'm a fan of Josh Allen, so you're going to be hearing more about the Bills. And really, I think it's safe to say that the Bills could unseat the Patriots. And is it next year? Maybe, but I would say within 2 years, you might see the Buffalo Bills as finally somebody winning the AFC East.
Right, and this is the chance. If we think they're going to break up the Patriots or so forth, this is the year for the Buffalo to make that stand and make a statement and say, we're going to take this for the first time in what, 11 years or something?
Longer. I mean, really, it's insane how long. But
good for them.
The Patriots' run is unprecedented. 6 Super Bowls, all these division championships, and so on and so forth. So we've said all we can about the Pats. So,
yep.
And the Texans, again, congratulations, they move on.
And it's great. We got 2 great quarterbacks that are just dynamic, hard to bring down, and athletic as hell, and Lamar Jackson, and
we'll be watching
Deshaun Watson.
We'll be watching these guys for the next 10 years minimum. So
you bet. So let's move on to the other games.
The Vikings Saints. Let's roll to that.
And I'm guilty as charged. I said I didn't think anybody could beat the Saints in the NFC. Certainly not Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, and they did. How do you explain that?
They did. Listen, New Orleans was favored. I think the spread at game time dropped to about 7.5. To your point, Saints are home. They get screwed last year. They've been scoring a lot of points. Breeze is healthy. Michael Thomas is catching everything in sight. Alvin Kamara is healthy. I like the Saints' chances. They kind of got off to a pretty good start.
Yep.
But you give the Vikings credit. Dalvin Cook really is,
he's an A running back.
He's an A running back. That's what the Vikings have been missing. So they have the passing game. Everybody knocks Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins delivered in this big spot.
He did. He delivered. That was a great pass. And
Kyle
you're right.
Rudolph.
If he threw with 5 more feet, it would have been 6. But it was great pass, and I'm happy because I like the kid. He's talented and he's a nice kid. He said all the right things.
Yeah, he's a class act, Kirk Cousins. I
Big
got
time.
nothing bad to say about him.
Big
So
time.
I heard an interview with Kyle Rudolph this morning as I was driving to work. Kyle Rudolph out of Notre Dame. I couldn't be more impressed with this kid. He's the Walter Payton Award.
Off the field, he's
nominee
phenomenal.
for the Vikings. Deals with kids, sick kids, all that stuff.
And we talked about it. It was a piece, a 30 for 30 on him, and it couldn't have been more impressive.
But the main thing I'd like to say is, so this overtime catch that he makes, listen, he gets matched up against a cornerback here. He's giving 6 inches. And what he told Cousins, and when they practice, he told Kirk Cousins, I don't want you to throw the ball anywhere near the sideline. I don't want it in the corner. Kyle Rudolph.
Throw it high, and I'll go up and get it.
Exactly. Kyle Rudolph is a former basketball player. He said he loves basketball. It's his number 1 sport. And he told Cousins, if you just throw it up there, and especially with this height advantage he had, he said it's no different than me going up for a rebound.
And this isn't sour grapes for me. Like I said, I liked the Vikings as a kid growing up, but he pushed off. If you look at the law of the way the rule is intended to be, he pushed off. I'm not sure why they didn't review it. I thought they reviewed all things.
They did review it. They did. I mean,
You don't think he pushed off?
I think there was contact on both sides. I don't think it was egregious. I think it's football.
I'm not dismissing their win. It's in the books. It's done that way. But when I saw it a couple more times, I go, wow. That guy's head jerked back a little bit because the guy's as big as a house,
That's a debate for another day.
Okay, but
I'm tired of it being flag football.
Right, but it's in the books, and congratulations to the Vikings, and we'll have to regroup and see who our team's going to be, and we'll talk about that on our next week's show for sure.
Absolutely. So the Vikings move on, and then the final game of the weekend was Seattle coming across the country to the NFC East champion Philadelphia Eagles.
Right, and there was a lot of intrigue in this game. It's kind of unfortunate Wentz got down, and people want to call it targeting. It wasn't targeting. It was just a hit, and this guy's he's snake bitten. What can I tell you? But we talked about it. Who do we talk about? This guy does not like to lose. Russell Wilson.
He doesn't lose.
He's unbelievable.
He's just a class,
And I have no problem with him being the highest paid quarterback in the NFL now. This guy has earned it. Hasn't missed a game.
I'm all in on Russell
Oh,
Wilson.
big time.
Everybody that knows me knows that. So I was wondering if Vegas had a prop bet of when Carson Wentz was going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And
During the national anthem,
oh my
perhaps.
God. So yeah, I'll give the kid credit. He finally finished the full season, but in the biggest spot, yeah, he gets knocked out in the first quarter. Is it
Yeah, it's not going to
targeting?
go over well with Philly.
I don't know, but this guy is snake bit, to your point. So I don't know. Is he the long-term answer for the Eagles? I think the kid's a good quarterback, but he can't stay healthy, and I need a quarterback that can stay healthy. So Eagle fans, good luck with that going forward. But
You got it.
I despise the Philadelphia Eagles, so I have no love lost for them, and I'm glad Seattle won. And the other point I wanted to make about Seattle, remember when we're watching the draft and these wide receivers are coming out?
Yes, I'm
And
glad you brought this up.
And this DK Metcalf, drops down the charts. And then you see a picture of this guy who looks like the Incredible Hulk and can run a 4 whatever he runs.
And you don't see a big wide receiver like that anymore. He looked gigantic on the football field.
And he
yesterday.
produces. This guy can run routes. He can catch. He is.
But they brought up the
thoroughly
point,
impressed.
right?
With
And they brought up the point where there had to be some sort of outside reason he dropped into the 7th wide receiver draft, but. He really impressed me. I was going to ask you, who's the most impressive guy for Seattle yesterday? Metcalf.
DK Metcalf.
Wow.
This guy's going to be an absolute beast, and now he's teamed with Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
And you're going to just see, I see first team All Pro out of this guy.
Because what have we seen over wide receivers? They're smaller and quicker. This guy's big. He's pretty quick, and he's got hands.
He is.
I like it too. I really do. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yep. So, the matchups coming up for the coming weekend. You got the Vikings traveling to San Francisco.
Yeah.
We got the Titans heading to Baltimore. We got the Seahawks heading to Green Bay. And you have the Texans heading to the Chiefs. So preliminarily, what are your thoughts about the upcoming matchup?
All right. Well, I like Green Bay at home. I know it's betting against Russell Wilson, which is against my better judgment. But I think Green Bay, they can run the ball, and Rodgers at home. I think it may be the end of the road for Seattle. That's just my thought.
I think I'm leaning Seattle.
Okay.
Next, Niners, Vikings. Vikings have to go to the Niners. The Niners are already, I want to say, a 7-point favorite.
Yeah, well, I'm not big on the point spreads, but I got to go with San Francisco to win that game. I think Cousins had his moment in the sun, but I think San Francisco's got a lot of talent. But this is betting on Jimmy Garoppolo, who hasn't proven anything yet to anybody. But we like him. We know he has potential, and I'm going to go with San Francisco.
Okay, I think it'll be a close game. I think I have to go with the Niners, but I think the Vikings are going to be a tough out, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Vikings win. But if I got to pick a team, I got to like the Niners at home.
Boy, they haven't won a playoff game in San Francisco since Anthony Carter was wide receiver. I'm going to guess. Remember that?
Could be. It's been a while.
Remember that?
Absolutely. So the next game, we got the Texans coming to the Chiefs.
Okay, you and I both. It's easy to fall into this. Andy Reid hasn't done it, and so forth. As much as we like Andy Reid and would have had him as our coach anytime, but this Mahomes factor, this kid likes to win too. So I'm going to take the Chiefs. I'm going with the Chiefs, and I don't know if the defense can stop Deshaun Watson, so it's going to be a high-scoring game because you got two great quarterbacks.
Right. We touted Deshaun Watson obviously earlier in the show, but I have to go with the Chiefs at home and Mahomes, and
Me
so
too.
I'm going to lean towards the Chiefs there. And then, we talked about the Titans, how impressive they were with Derrick Henry, Matt Vrabel coaching. So the Titans got a big task heading to Baltimore and taking on, which is probably considered the favorite to
Oh, clear,
get to the Super Bowl.
clear front runner now that
And
New
win the
England's
Super
out.
Bowl.
I thought New England was going to be the only team that could beat them, so I think they got a clear path to the Super Bowl right now.
Yeah, so I think we're probably both in on the Ravens right now as
We
far
are.
as winning. So
Both sides of the ball. And,
so if it goes according to what our picks are, so we're going to be looking at, well, you got Green Bay. I'm going to lead Seattle. I think we're both in on the Niners. We're both in on the Ravens, and I think we're both in on the Chiefs. So
Yep.
we'll see what happens. So it'll be a great NFL weekend.
And I'm looking forward to doing our post game, our post weekend
analysis and
right?
everything. too.
Divisional championship, and then we'll do our AFC, NFC
championship
championship
preview.
Sunday. Right?
Absolutely.
So let's we covered the NFL pretty good, and there's some happenings in college football. And I just want to say that this segment is sponsored by Lynch Motors of Manchester, Connecticut.
Right.
And Steve, we will get back. There's a couple of points we want to talk about on the NFL side. There's been some head coaching news and so forth. And we'll come back to that as soon as we wrap up college.
Of course.
Because fill us in, because you brought it up, and I didn't know two were declared today, but there's been a lot of premier college football players that have declared for the NFL, and let's see what we think.
Well, Tua, obviously with the hip injury and the fact that he's had surgery on both ankles.
And you think that scares him away from being a first-round draft pick or top 10 draft pick?
Yeah, I think he may fall out of the top 10. I think
agree.
he'll definitely be a first-round pick.
I agree.
I think the Dolphins, with their war chest of picks, I can see Tua. Top of my head, I think the Dolphins have obviously a top 5 pick, and I want to say they have like the 13th or something like
Well,
that.
there's no rush for them to get a quarterback, so he can sit on the bench and rehab for a year because they got Fitzmagic.
Right. Who doesn't like a lot of Fitzmagic? Come on.
You got to tip your hat to the guy. He's a grinder.
If only he would shave that beard.
Oh no, that's what makes him unique. It's Solzhenitsyn.
Dan Fouts is the best bearded quarterback ever. Let's be real.
He couldn't grow a Fitzmagic beard. But anyway,
But Tua declares, and I'd say the other couple prominent guys is Chase Young on Ohio State has declared, the junior sack master.
who hasn't impressed either you or I, in the past, last 6 weeks
It's
of the
funny
year?
to say that. One of our listeners, I was just at my son's basketball game, and he's a very passionate Washington Redskin fan. And, he's extremely happy with having the second pick. Obviously, the Redskins have been in the toilet for a long time. And he said, "Oh, I can't wait to get Chase Young." I said, "I got to be honest. I don't know if this guy translates to what you think he's going to translate. I don't see this guy getting 15 sacks. I don't see him. He's not overly big. I mean, did he have a great senior year, even missing 2 games? Yes. Is he going to be worthy of a top 5 pick? Yes. My eye test right now tells me, I don't know. I just don't. I cannot say here with certainty that this guy's going to translate to.
And we watched him very closely
A
the
beast.
last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, just to see exactly, are we missing the boat? Is this guy overrated, or are we just missing it?
I don't know. Is he Mike Mamula?
Or is he Andre Bruce from Auburn? Remember, one of the top
Oh yeah, I remember.
5 all-time busts,
Right.
Mandarich Leaf era, right?
Yeah. Is he Nick Bosa and Joey Bosa's father, John Bosa?
Certainly
I
not
don't
yet.
know.
Certainly not yet.
And then the other one, we wanted to mention him. We're big fans of him, but Jonathan Taylor, a New Jersey kid from Wisconsin, 3 years at Wisconsin, has over 6,000 yards rushing.
You bet.
And this guy can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's well built.
And his stock has risen. He's going top 10.
He's going. He's going to be right up there. I think with
DK Dobbins,
or Travis Etienne, we talked about on Clemson.
I think those are the 3 top running backs. So you can put them in any order you want, depending on
No,
the
I think
scouting.
Etienne is clearly the number 1 back. But Jonathan Taylor, I tell you, any team that drafts this kid, I think, is really going to get a super football player.
Yep.
So he's declared out of Wisconsin, and then while we're on Wisconsin locally, our high school scene, Jalen Berger was probably the number one recruit out of New Jersey, the running back from Don Bosco. We've had the privilege of watching this kid really since his freshman year.
Yeah.
And this kid is heading to Wisconsin.
And there's no reason to think he couldn't just step in and take over for Jonathan Taylor, who goes to the NFL.
We'll say we don't know if he'll
interesting.
redshirt or what have you, but we want to congratulate him for
You bet.
heading to Wisconsin. So you got three prominent underclassmen that have declared. And to answer again your question, I think Tua drops out of the top 10 due to his injury, but I see him definitely a first round.
But I think we still we'll both agree that Joe Burrow is going to the Bengals with the number one pick in the draft, right?
Unquestioned.
Right. Okay.
Unquestioned.
Let's move right on then.
Yep.
And listen, before we move off from college football, I wanted to bring this up because Steve and I have brought up the Rutgers situation and Northern New Jersey football, and Nunzio Campanelli, former coach of Bergen Catholic, state champion, whatever.
Right.
And, but they hired an offensive coordinator, so, you may have some inside scoop on, where that leaves Nunzio. They need him on the staff. He's a recruiting guru, and,
So Schiano takes over and obviously cleaned house on the coaching staff, but to his credit, he kept Nunzio around, and Nunzio is absolutely the pipeline. Now Schiano
is he on board with all this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Great.
So it's so they did. Rutgers hires offensive coordinator out of Oklahoma State.
Sean Gleason.
Yep.
Yep.
Listen, Oklahoma State put up points, and obviously they did a nationwide search and settled on this guy.
Okay.
But I gotta, my inside info tells me Nunzio would probably head back to be the tight ends coach. And, with our St. Joe's connection, they have Matt Alamo from St. Joe's, who really had his first year with Rutgers.
And certainly itching to play, too, and make a name for
he got a
himself.
lot of time, and
He did.
and I think Schiano made the right move, keeping Nunzio around, and again, it's the pipeline in North Jersey, so we're happy that Nunzio is
Yeah, me
staying
too.
in Rutgers. So,
Me too.
yeah.
So that could mean, like we talked about it, though. They're in the Big Ten now, so this is a big difference. He's putting a lot of stock in some local guys to bring some talent there, and we wish him all the best.
Well, I also think Schiano's going to bring a bunch of thugs in too, because he used to bring a lot of thugs in, a lot of questionable character guys, mainly from the state of Florida. But we shall see. Rutgers, I'm telling you right now, I don't see them moving up in the Big Ten in the next 3 years.
Nope, me
I
either.
think if he gets the cupboard a little bit full, they can compete 5-6 wins. But that's all I see out of Rutgers. Really.
Okay.
But while we're still on college football, we're a week away from Clemson and LSU. Do you have any change of heart? Have you been thinking about what side you're on? I got guys that are telling me they're still all in on Clemson. They got a 29-game win streak, and why would you bet against a team that's won 2 of the last 3 national
And I certainly
championships?
know where you're going to go, and I wouldn't dispute it. But however, you know what? I'm going to stick with I won't bet against Dabo Sweeney here, and I'm going to stick with Clemson.
Okay, I'm going to go with LSU, and it pains me to do it, but I just watched enough of LSU this year that I just think they're a little bit more depth-wise all around. They just been destroying people,
And you've been right about Joe Burrow, and you know what? If he comes out and has that big game, then I could say for sure he's the number one pick. He was the Heisman Trophy. But like I said, I'm only referencing him from last year, and I wasn't overly impressed with him, but this year I was. So it's going to be a great game. I mean, it's going to be a great game. No matter what the score is after the third quarter, the game's still not over, right?
Without question, with the Trevor Lawrence factor, and like we talked about, Etienne at running back, and Clemson's defense is rock solid. So I really think this is going to be one of the best championship games we've seen in a while.
Can't wait.
2 evenly matched teams, but again, my eye test tells me LSU just has a little more horses this year, and I'm going to stick with LSU. So.
Okay. Glad you brought that up because
Yep.
that's important. It's coming up a week from today. Right?
Absolutely. And if anybody has questions, comments, of course, please send us an email. at sportswithmono@gmail.com. And of course, you can listen to the show on SoundCloud and YouTube. And, we've actually been getting some great feedback of late. We're getting new listeners that we really appreciate.
Yep, Tony's been, throwing some comments at us. And
Tony, Happy New Year to you.
You bet.
And we appreciate it very much.
All right, so listen, before we wrap up and get into our final segment here, there was some head coaching changes in the NFL. We're going to take a half a step back, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about your new head coach, Mike McCarthy, who, by the way, and I was on record on this show saying he will be the next head coach of the New York Giants, and now he's the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. What do you think?
Well, everybody knows I'm a Cowboy fan, or at least most of our audience does, and they've known the last 25 years of the what's the word I'm looking for? Disappointment, maybe. But the fact of the matter is, the circus had continued. Jason Garrett, they obviously liked, respect Jason Garrett, trying to do the right thing. But at the end of the day, just let him go already. His contract was to January 14th. So people were asking me, who's going to be the next head coach? And I said, I couldn't fathom a guess. Couldn't. So Mike McCarthy wasn't even on the radar until maybe 3 or 4 days ago. And then even when I saw the fact that he was interviewing in Dallas, I gave that probably less than a 10% chance.
So did I.
That it was going to come to fruition. I just felt the Browns would probably a fit for him. It would be my guess. So all of a sudden, they let Garrett go, 48 hours ago, maybe officially. And lo and behold, I'm driving to work, and I get a flash on my phone, Dallas to hire Mike McCarthy. Well, my reaction was I almost pulled over to the side of the road, got out and jumped for joy. I'm a huge Mike McCarthy fan. Does he coexist with Jerry Jones? That's obviously
That's the point
the
I wanted to bring up.
$99,000
I wanted to bring that up. Why do you think Mike McCarthy? What did Jerry Jones say, that he's going to give him complete control? And that's not going to happen.
No, I don't think.
Why would Mike McCarthy want to get involved in this situation where he wants full control and he's not going to get it?
Who's saying he wants full control in Dallas?
That's the kind of coach he is. That's the kind of coach he is.
I think the structure in Green Bay was Ted Thompson and Mark Murphy. I think McCarthy is a coach's coach.
I love him.
And so at the end of the day, he obviously interviewed with Carolina. He's made the circuit. He interviewed with Cleveland, multiple jobs. The bottom line is he did his homework and he's looking at what assets does he have.
I guess.
Do I want to go to Cleveland and work with Baker Mayfield and OBJ and all these degenerates in Cleveland? Or do I have a foundation of Dak Prescott, like Dak or not? He's a class kid who's not going to get in trouble. You got a solid running back in Elliott. You got the offensive line. There are pieces in Dallas if they resign Amari Cooper, which I'm a proponent of. I think he saw that there's a lot of talent in Dallas, and if they can get good coaching and McCarthy is the guy, we shall see. I'm expecting results in about 2 to 3 years.
But what I was thinking, Steve, like I said, he's got a young quarterback in Daniel Jones that he could have, molded into his vision. Like I said, how much influence did he have over Aaron Rodgers? We don't know, but he's an X's and O's coach, hands-on. I think it's a great choice for the Cowboys. And now the Giants have to go back to the well. And I know you said Matt Rule is going to be the guy.
I think so. I mean, I'm not discounting that Josh McDaniels from New England may get an interview.
How about Marvin Lewis, huh?
Well, actually, Marvin, you know what? Marvin was down in Dallas interviewing.
Of course, for the Rooney Rule, though.
I actually thought that Marvin Lewis actually had a shot at being the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys.
Okay, but not the head coach.
No, not at all.
That was Rooney Rule. We would agree with that?
Of course. But so back to the Giants, it sounds like they're going after Matt Rule, the head coach of Baylor, and they're going to have to drop a big check to Baylor to buy him out of this contract. I don't really see any other candidate right now for the New York Giants, and this kid apparently was an assistant under Coughlin.
I think it's a reach, though, pulling a college coach out and having to pay $17 million just to sign him. What is this? Is like baseball and Japanese players.
It's not like the Giants are lacking money, but
no, it's not that. But I'm just saying that would be. Listen, I wouldn't be disappointed in that choice. I just don't know if they're going to go that route. We'll see.
I think they have no choice.
I would have taken Ron Rivera, who went to the Redskins.
Hey, you know who's available? Who's on ESPN? Rex Ryan is available. He used to coach in that building. Why don't you make him an offer?
That will never, ever happen. Thank goodness.
And he could bring his brother in, Rob, as the defensive coordinator.
Oh, the Slob twins, Forget it. Ain't happening.
So I think it's Matt Rule.
And I like Rivera. I would have taken Ron Rivera, but the Redskins scooped him up. And he's got to deal with Daniel Snyder, too. So, I don't know.
Well, the Giants better hit a home run because, to your point, the NFC East, the Redskins, Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio as defensive coordinator.
Yep.
Now the Cowboys with Mike McCarthy, and also they just hired ex-49ers head coach, who's always been a defensive coordinator most of his career, is Mike Nolan.
Yeah, he's got good genes.
Son of Dick.
Yep.
And I couldn't be happier with the Cowboys' coaching change.
All right. So listen, we're certainly going to talk about this. Things are happening in the Giants. Hopefully by the next time we talk, and our next show, we'll have a new head coach, and we'll talk about that.
Well, they got to get somebody in place.
Yep.
That's for damn sure.
So listen, we're going to end on our notables segment, which is sponsored by D. Filippi's Bakery of Monticello, New York.
That's right.
And let's just jump right into it. I think there was some big passings in the world of sports. And
well, let's talk about that. So as we went to broadcast last week, we sat around and we said, are there any notable passings? This was obviously right before New Year's. And we said no. And then didn't we, right, in our pre-production meeting say, well, I bet the farm by the time we broadcast tonight, there will be at least one notable passing.
Oh, certainly. It always happens in the new year.
And it always happens in threes.
And we forgot to bring up Don Imus on our last show, which kind of from a New York perspective was big. I didn't listen to him, but he was big.
I wasn't a fan, but he was a very prominent
figure in New York media.
In New York,
no question.
In media.
But I think one of the biggest ones. I don't know. I can't say biggest ones, but David Stern, who listen. We're not NBA gurus, but that guy was a businessman, and he turned that thing around and made everybody multimillionaires, and you got to give him credit for that.
I absolutely give him credit. David Stern, and actually he was a lot younger than I thought. Unfortunately had a brain hemorrhage and passed away at age 77, but to your point, I mean, this guy really...
He took that league and made it, he put it up there.
He saved that league because it was imploding. There's no question. It was absolutely imploding. And, the fact they had Michael Jordan and so on and so forth in the early years, it didn't hurt. But really, you give him credit.
What a businessman.
What a businessman.
No question. Big loss for NBA and big loss in the world of sports.
Absolutely.
You bet. But how about another one? Let's move on to Don Larson.
Why? What did he do? Why is he a notable passing?
Well, I think most of our fans would know that in 1956 he threw a perfect game in the World Series, and that was kind of big.
It certainly was, especially when he got home from the bar at 3:30 the night before. And that's a true story.
Of course it's a true story. And guess who he was out with, right. I'm sure.
So when Mickey Mantle says this guy could drink him under the table, that's a big statement.
That's higher praise than pitching a perfect game.
So Don Larson, age 90, and actually, at Old Timers Day this year, he came out and listen, am I surprised Don Larson passed? I'll give him credit for less than 90 years old.
You bet. We thought that it was last Old Timers game 10 years ago,
absolutely.
At least.
But he had a mediocre career. Obviously, he's famous for a perfect game in the World Series, which has never been done before, and good luck to anybody who's going to do that feat again.
You bet.
But he really had a career record of 81 and 91. He was a journeyman pitcher for the most part.
But he had his moment in the sun and the biggest spotlight on the stage, and it was great.
And he's a Yankee legend.
And class act,
always.
Wasn't he?
Absolutely.
Just class.
Right. Great
through
guy.
And through.
Notable passing, Don Larson, age 90.
Yep. And there was one other one, and like I said, I certainly would put David Stern and Don Larson as being more prominent passings than this guy, but we remember him. We watched him. He coached in the Super Bowl. Sam Weish, right?
Absolutely, Cincinnati
Boomer's
Bengals.
mentor.
Yeah.
Right?
So Sam White, he even played for the Bengals. He was on the same coaching staff with Bill Walsh before he got named head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not sure if Mike Brown regrets letting Bill Walsh go and keeping Sam Weish, but that's a debate for another day.
Yeah.
But at age 74, Sam Weish,
And like I said,
class act.
he took a team to the Super Bowl, and didn't win it and so forth. But that's no
the
knock.
Super Bowl, the Niners and the Bengals, and that's the John Candy game when Joe Cool was in the huddle, and for the final drive when he hit John Taylor on the TV timeout. Joe Montana's famous for looking around the crowd and in the huddle to break the ice. He goes, "Hey, it's John Candy in the huddle."
And the rest, as they say, is history.
That's it. But Sam Weish passed away at age 74, and we absolutely want to acknowledge him. So.
Okay. Well, listen, guys, thanks for joining us this week. Steve, there's a lot of stuff to cover. NFL is hot and heavy, and college football is right down the road. And
Yep.
and we thank everybody for joining us. And it's like I said, it's 2020 now, and we look forward to talking to you guys every week. And like Steve said, if you got comments, feel free on YouTube, SoundCloud, and sportswithmano@gmail.com. But we thank you through and through.
Absolutely. So happy New Year, everybody. We look forward to talking to you next week, and we'll catch you next Monday.
All right, you guys.
Have a great week.
Okay, bye.